Welcome back to another panel discussion on the Family Alpha. I am your host, Zachary Small, and today I am joined by my fellow speakers at the Mission of Excellence Summit. That's what we're going to be hitting today. We're going to be focusing on the summit that we'll be running this October. Each of these men will be bringing their message to the stage. One of the things we're looking to talk to is the men that are looking to bring their lives to the next level. And that's what this is about. The excellent man, the man who's not just excellent in an area of his life, but all areas of his life. And so if you're a man who's crushing it at work, we want to help you do that with your family. If you're crushing it with your family, we want to help you do that at work. One of the best ways to do that is to transcend the electrons, go and shake a hand, meet the man, have the discussion in person. And that's where you'll get the ultimate takeaway for you to actually change your life. In the world of social media, it's great to connect, but the connections we make only takes you so far. So with each of these men bringing their message to the stage, when you meet them in person, you can sit down, you can grab a meal, grab a cigar. You're going to find that the words they share, they hit a little different than opposed to when you're just watching them on YouTube. And so like that, we're going to go around the panel, introduce you to each of these men, and then we're going to have a great discussion on how the professional man can use this summit to bring their lives to the next level. With that, Anthony, what's up, brother? We'll start with you. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I'm excited, man. What a great panel of men. I can't believe that I'm here right now and this is going down. This is cool. But for those who don't know me, my name is Anthony Miglarino from peacefulfathers.com. I am the peaceful father. I talk about peaceful parenting, creating peace in the home, and raising kids the best that we can. Co-owner of the Fraternity of Excellence private men's group, 160 men who work every day on becoming better. And this is what we're doing here, man. I want to spread my message as far as possible. I want other men to improve their lives, to actually be happy, to have hope that there is another way, a better way, where they can do a little bit of work. It's not going to be easy, but they can make improvement and better the lives, not just for themselves, but their entire family.
That's awesome, man. And as we do this, obviously we're running the Fraternity of Excellence. We're doing our thing and watching them grow. And one of the things that we had spoken about was how Jeff Higgins came to us. I've got this idea. We're doing great things inside our walls. Let's bring it outside our walls. And we're like, you know what? That's a great idea. Let's do it. So Jeff, throwing it to you. How you doing, brother? What's going on? And how are you feeling watching this thing grow?
What's up, Zach? I am excited, very psyched to be talking about the Mission of Excellence again here on a Friday afternoon, spreading the word about what we're doing with the conference. And like you mentioned, I'm a member in the Fraternity of Excellence, and for years, it's helped me level up my life so much, and I've seen other people do the same, that I came to you with the idea we need to have a conference so that we could spread this good thing to so many other guys. And it's not just about the fraternity. We have speakers from outside the fraternity, but they share our values. So we're trying to spread the good things that are happening inside the fraternity that have enabled men to step up and become better parents, get their finances in better shape, better husbands, leaders in the community. And by taking it into the real world, shaking hands, looking people in the eye, it's a deeper connection. The message resonates so much stronger. I'm really looking forward to October 14th, 2023, getting on stage, meeting the people. Can't wait.
I love how you set that up perfectly for me. You're getting really good at this content creation thing because you said men not in the fraternity. And next we've got Steve Maeda. Steve, brother, out there leading your own community, helping men, bringing them to the next level. Had great discussions with you back in Vegas. Really happy to see you here again, man. How are you doing? And what are you looking to bring to this summit?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. And Steve Maeda, I've been a men's coach since 2006. It's all I've done. And man, it's so good to meet other men who are doing the same thing and who've also built a community of multiple leaders. So that is just great to be around you guys. I heard a lot about you guys through other conventions and whatnot and that sort of thing. And it was just so good to meet you guys. In fact, Zach, I had heard about you and known of you, but then Anthony was the first that I met, and it was just like, whoa, where is this? Where is this? So one of the things that I talk about a lot, there's many things of all male problems. They come my way. I've had my community for a long time. I'll talk a lot about divorce and custody currently. There's also stuff with addiction and trauma, all sorts of stuff with dating and sex and those types of things for men in the modern world. But when I heard Anthony talk about fatherhood and how important it was to be a peaceful father, to be a strong father, and to hear it from a guy who was a guy, a man's man, somebody who clearly wasn't missing anything that a lot of people are seeking, which, people seek strength, people seek clarity, fortitude, integrity, all those things. And, instantly you get that from him, to take a road of like, how can we carry our wisdom to our youth, to what we make and all that goes into that. So one of the things that I hope comes from this event is not really my broadcast to it, but to be a part of something where other men can learn from other men, and to have faith in other men, and have faith in masculinity, and have faith in the great wisdom and solution, the integrity, all that sort of stuff, the virtue that comes from so many different people. So the greater we can do that, the greater our voice can be, and the greater it can be when men are in a tough situation. I always say a fork in the road where both directions lead into a place where there's going to be strife and hardship. But how can we walk into that and create a great life from that? And we can only do that with community, other men like this. And so I'm so honored to be a part of that, but also I'm hoping that the man attending can have that rub off on him. So in those hard times, when he's alone, when he doesn't know what to do, or he takes on a leadership position, he can do that with faith and have the tools to do that. So I'm really happy to be here.
It's very well said. And, when you pitch that with that spin on it, it made me think of the fact that there are a lot of people who think to have a great career, you have to lose something. And you mentioned how Anthony is a man's man, but he's also a father and a family man. And people think, well, to have a family, you're going to lose a part of yourself as a man. Family men, they're taking the safe path, the easy path. You don't have as much time with friends or hobbies, but that's not what's happening. And we see that with men like Anthony. We see that with a lot of the men that we're doing, creating content with, going out and just doing things with out in the world. And so it's interesting how we're pushing back on that narrative that you can only have one thing in life, when in fact you can have many things in life. And to go beyond that, when you see other men, and I saw this with you, and I'm glad you brought up addiction. We had a great discussion on that. I was sharing my sobriety. We were talking about our stories and kind of how we've helped other men with this. A lot of people think, well, if you're this thing, an addict, hooked on this, divorced, went through it, whatever struggle, you'll never have that bliss, contentment, happiness in life. But here we see men doing that. And so it's a different beast when you see a man living a life as opposed to a man telling you how to live a life. It's like, oh, I can see in you, you're happy. You're genuinely feeling this. You're bountiful, abundant. You're not living a scarce mindset, and you're not broken. And, and I think that there's something to be taken away from that is when you see men who've been pushed to the breaking point, but didn't break, or if they were knocked down, they got back up, to see them, to speak with them, to be like, no, this is real. And if he can do it, I can do it. I don't think there's anything greater we can bring to the stage, but also to the masses. And to bring things like that to the masses, it's through those individual men. Like you said, it's that man who leaves the conference, but now he's bringing that to his community, his friends, the youth sports, the boys that he's coaching. He shows a better example for them. And so I'm just looking forward to it. Jerry, I almost feel like we're talking about you in this one because I have watched your storyline here, man. And from joining the Fraternity of Excellence while crushing it with your job, to crushing it with your job, your marriage, relationship with your son, your relationship with your God, your relationship with, like I said, your body. You went at this. You have absolutely crushed it within our walls. I am so fucking pumped and privileged to have you come on this stage and show the world what I've been able to see and gain from personally for years now. So, Jerry, welcome to the panel, and how you doing?
Doing well, Zach. It's great to be here. Great to be here with this group of guys. These are the type of men that really helped me turn around my life. For me, I speak from my experience. I was one of those guys, as you talked about. I was one of those guys that to the outside world, I was crushing it. I was doing everything right. Everybody thought I had it all together, yet behind the scenes, my marriage wasn't where it needed to be. My relationship with my son wasn't where it needed to be. I was a man chasing comfort, and comfort led to complacency, and complacency got me off the track. And, joined FOE and learned a lot of things from other men. And that experience of learning from other men and then putting the work in and changing my life, that experience gave me a passion to share that with other men. And, as you said, I leveled up in a lot of different areas. And you mentioned earlier, you can have it all. You can have it all across the board. It takes work, but a lot of men I think a lot of men don't understand what life could be like, and we need to get that message out. And I've experienced that within FOE, and now speaking about it, writing about it, and want to get that message out. So I'm excited.
One of the biggest issues that I have, not issues, but one of the challenges set with being a host on a panel is remembering all of the things everybody has done. I didn't even mention your book. So looking behind you and seeing the posters, like you've done so many things that I can't fit it all in, man. All right, we're not going to make it the Jerry show. I'll be here for another 30 minutes. But let's talk about that for a second. So you came in, you hit the ground running. You started working on yourself. And as I said, you developed your strength and your faith, your strength in your faith, and you went beyond that and you saw the importance that it would play in sharing that with others and not hiding yourself back. And so looking at that, I want to start this discussion and kind of get out of the intros and go right into the meat of this. We're talking about where do professional men go to become men of excellence. You were a man who was professionally successful, but you're working to become, and you are becoming and are a man of excellence in my eyes, which means your flaws, you own them and you address them, and your features, you continue to develop them. So you went, I'm going to let you tell the story. How did you get to the point of releasing this book? And how did you go, from the point of my job is defining me, I'm good at my job, so I'm a good man, to actually putting a metric and a weight on, I'm also going to treat my marriage professionally. I'm also going to treat my relationship with my son professionally, my own personal relationship with myself professionally. How did you get to that point? And how do you think other men, by attending the Mission of Excellence Summit on October 14th, they will be able to get that same takeaway to start pushing themselves in the direction that you've gone?
Yeah. One, it's being around other high quality men, learning from those guys. You get to a point where you look around in your life and you realize, for me, it started with something simple like a bad blood test. I wasn't feeling well. I got a blood test. Results came back. They weren't good. And to me, I was like, hey, I need to do some things to change the direction. That shined light on a lot of other things in my life. And so it made me realize that, as I mentioned, I had been chasing comfort. That comfort led to this complacency, and that complacency almost killed my marriage. That drove me to realize that, hey, I'm, things going well with my professional life, but I really got some other things that I need to work on here. And if I don't, I'm going to lose some things that mean a lot to me. I'm going to lose my marriage. I'm going to lose my family. And so coming into FOE, I was engaged with other men that had been down the same path that I needed to go down. I listened to them. I put the things into place that I needed to do. And from that experience, it made me realize that, man, there's a whole nother world out here for men to experience. And that drove me to writing the book and putting my things out there with Men of Grit, so that other guys could experience the same thing I experienced.
So looking at that and just looking how things have played out, your wake up call, people think that they have to hit a rock bottom to change. They've got to I've got to bottom out. You didn't, and so, but when we look around, your rock bottom, your bottom point, it doesn't have to be a crippling bottom point. It doesn't have to be what anybody else views as something that's necessary for you to change. If you don't feel that you are being your best, if you feel like you want more from life, then that is your rock bottom. Start there. It's not like, it could be worse. And it could always be worse. But why would we not start now? Whether it be just blood work not being where you want it to be, the marriage, the health, like I said, the engagements with your child, your sex life, the money in your bank account, the money you're making, the respect you have at your job. If any of those aren't what you want them to be, then that's where you start to address it. You don't have to wait for it to break. And one of the things that I've loved to see, and not just, Anthony brought it up, but Steve, you're a very deep thinker. And I also, when I see your stuff, it really gets my brain spinning. But you went through a heavy workload, to get yourself to where you are. And one of those things that it's always impressed me most about people who go through hardship is when they come out of it and they have that sense of positive focus on what's coming forward. And so we're guys like Jerry, it didn't hit him as hard. With you've spoken openly about your divorce, the things you went through with your children. And in doing that, when I spoke with you, you're like, hey, I'm good. So what is your message, or what are you looking at as being one of the best approaches men can take when they come to a summit like this? Because maybe they are bringing some of that negativity. You found a way to shake it. With these men coming into this, how do you think that could help them be a little more open and receptive to the message we're all going to be sharing?
That's a good question. So, one thing that I always thought was interesting about all of men's development is we focus so much on strength, but we don't focus on where it comes from. And when we look at strength, a lot of times when we don't look at where it comes from real men, and we have people that can wear the facade of strength and all those different things, it builds a culture of people that fear the hardships. And in all of history, when we look at strong men, when we look at strong humanity, men and women, it's never about being easy. It's never about having everything so that we don't have any problems. The reality of it is for men, especially in first world Western countries like ourselves, we have the opportunity to do so much. We can do anything we want. We can do all those things, but it takes a responsibility. And if we learn to build men without knowing that there's hardships, without knowing how to face things, and the truest doubts or the truest fears, if we're afraid of those things, we are, man, in my opinion, not men. We're not the man that I would like to develop into. We're not the man that I would like to lead. We're not the man that I would like to be around. I want to be around a culture of humanity, not just men, but of course, that's what I've been for the last 17 years as a men's coach. I want to be around people that are not afraid to look at the new horizon of what they want to build, what they want to be a part of, who they want to be, and all that stuff. And to be that man, you can't run from your past. You can't run from the problems that come into your life. You cannot run from the vision and the grit that comes with that vision. It's massive. So you have to be able to be a part of it. There's so many different hardships that I've had in my life. And one of the biggest gifts was that at an early age, I faced those things when I was 17. That was the first time I attempted to get clean, but that was something where I had to look at hard. And at that point, I didn't stay clean then and continued to use for like 10 or 12 more years. But the thing about that was I got that the looking at oneself, the facing hard problems, the feeling of pain, the getting past that pain shaped into something good. And it shaped into something that's irreplaceably good. It shaped, at least for me, and it's not, the bottom's where you stop digging, right? You don't have to hit these hard walls. But if you're living life, you're going to hit walls. And in order to get to wisdom or virtue, which I think are some of the best things a man can have, spirit, these types of things, you have to be able to face life on life's terms. You have to be able to face life where it comes to you at. And if it starts to break you, then your job is to put those things together and remake them and speak from that voice. And that may be the voice of a broken soul, broken life, broken marriage, whatever it is, mistakes. But you have to be able to speak from that and show the world that, man, this is how strength is. The human experience comes with flaw. It comes with pain. But we just don't see enough men looking and respecting that. Men, I think, in our culture are in so much pain that we jump to whatever looks bright and shiny. And, I have the utmost respect for the feminine, but to me, that seems like one of the more reactive or immature female ways to look at things. And we see so many men buying into that. And it's a ridiculous thing. So, one of my big messages is, yeah, man, doesn't matter what you've got. If you got a heartbeat, do something with it, do good with it, learn how to do good with it. That may start out with an action. That may even start out with an image, but it takes work behind that. And that's what makes you.
No. And just listening to that, it made me think of the fact that a lot of men will look at the shiny thing in others and they look at the dark thing in themselves and think that that's the problem. Where in reality, the thing that's shiny is often just a painting. But if you look beyond that, there is no strength there, as you're saying. Whereas those who have that darkness and they found a way to turn it to light, any man who has that dark thing in them, you have the ingredients to become the story that helps the next man. And similar to addiction, and just to kind of harp on that because it's something I can relate to, I can speak to it and people will view me in a different light in the same way that when I speak to parenting, people will view it in a different light as if I didn't have kids. Like, oh, you get it because you have children. You
Right,
get it,
right,
you've been
right.
through it. Jeff Higgins, he's actually further beyond me on that path. But there are conversations we've had where I could only say it to him that maybe it's a conversation I couldn't have with Jerry or Anthony, because I was like, maybe they wouldn't understand where I was coming from with this. And so to me, those men who have those hardships or have hit those walls, those are the dudes I want to talk to, because they're the ones that have that experience and understanding of the work required to overcome it. And I think it really does boil down to the knight in the shining armor. Oh, everybody loves that guy. You know, he's a boss, you know, but that's like Lancelot, you know, but the King Arthur, that dude's dinged up. He's banged up. His armor might be a little jacked up, but that dude has done some things. He is a leader, you know, so when the wind blows, he's not going to get knocked off his horse. He might not look as shiny and pretty, but that's the dude you'll follow. And I wish men viewed themselves like that. You know, you might not be the shiniest thing because you've got some nicks and dings in you, but that's who I would follow. You're a man who has strength. You've overcome the things trying to break you.
Go
I
ahead.
said you on that one, Higgins.
No, so we're touching on a lot of issues, and men are walking around and they're thinking, you know, I don't like this about myself. I know I want better. I haven't hit rock bottom, but I know I want better. But how do I do it? And then you're hearing Jerry, he wasn't sure how to do it, but he surrounded himself with men thinking the right way, that wanted good things. And by being surrounded by them, you guide yourself towards it. I can't count the number of people in conversation that have told me they are inspired because they see what Jerry posts in the group or what Jerry says on the calls. Jerry came in looking for help, and now people are being inspired by him. I know some days I don't want to work out, and I see Jerry posting videos of him jumping rope at 5:30 in the morning, and I end up at the gym. So how do you do it? You come to events like this and you surround yourself with guys that are going to help you, that know what they're doing. That's why we were putting this conference together.
No, it's well said. And, you know, one of the things that makes me think of is the men who think, well, I don't have anything wrong, you know, or I can't get better, you know. And so, Anthony, you actually are quite in your messaging. You do it naturally. I don't even think you know you do it, but you're always saying, like, I'm just looking to level up. I'm looking to connect with other men. I'm looking to surround myself with those who are good people that will help me reach the next level. And so your natural preference is to continue chasing, like, how can I improve on this? So for those men who are thinking, well, I'm at good enough. Why do I need to do any better? And I think actually Steve brought this up a little bit. In our age, comfort, it's there. It's always there. You can get through life without any sex that you like, without a good relationship with your kids, without making more money than what covers the bills. You can certainly do that. So why do you recommend these other men who are kind of sitting there at just good enough? Why do you continue to invest, and why should they do the same?
I'll try to make it as appropriate as possible, but
This is the Family Alpha, man. You can say whatever you need to say whenever you need to say it.
because I want a fucking good life. Been in a spot where it wasn't that good, so I keep raising the bar. I have a high level, right? A high standard that I want in my life, and it's reflected upon the people that I bring into my life. At one point, I was not there, right? I was beaten down. I wasn't taking care of myself. I was a workaholic. I was running a multi-million-dollar business by myself. I was addicted to that life, and I couldn't get out. And I bring it up because that's why we're having this event, the Mission of Excellence. The reason we're doing this is so young men or any man does not have to suffer through this shit alone. Because I will tell you the honest truth, man, there were many times I did not think I was going to make it. Way too many times where I put my head down on my bed and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? How is this my life? And I became a victim. I became a victim of my circumstances that I chose. And I will no longer go back there. I will never go back there. I'm going to mess up. I'm going to make mistakes. I will fail, but I'm going to always go forward. So that is the standard that I use to carry me throughout life. That's the standard I use in my home, with my kids, with my parenting, right? And to me, it all comes down to just being honest what you need help with, being honest where you're at, what you don't know. And I think with a certain level of that, you grow, you get growth because you're honest about what you don't know. And the really crazy thing is people see it as ego or they see it as arrogant because you're growing and you're learning. And that's another trick, man, that can stop you, right? And that's when you have to audit the people who are in your life. Are they really pushing you to be better, or are they trying to break you down? So if you're in that spot, man, get some help, reach out. This is why we're doing this event. We're going to have these men on stage talking about their life experience, what they've known, what they've improved. and the hard things that they had to overcome to be better men. What else are we going to do, man? This is part of life. It's what we have to pursue.
Well, it's continuous improvement. And to me, when you look at it from that lens, that's what keeps you out of the redundancy without progress. It's a term I've brought up many times, but it's doing the same thing over and over. You wake up miserable. You go to work that you don't like. You don't have any fire inside of you. You sit there. Maybe you go out to get your lunch, have a beer, whatever it is you do, that little kick to get your excitement. And then you go home to a wife that doesn't respect you, kids that don't want to hang out with you, people that don't want to be around you. You're exhausted. You kick your feet up. You go to bed. You wake up. You do it again. That's not it, man.
That's not living.
That's not it. And so when I look at this, when I think about the men who are coming, and I'm actually, George, welcome to the panel, but you're a person that I think has nailed this one. You know, you speak to the fact that a lot of men don't even know what it is they need, and they never will until they put themselves in an environment where they'll find out. And what I mean by that is I can't tell you exactly what you will take from the Mission of Excellence Summit, but I can tell you that when you join it, you will be introduced to an entirely new network. And George, you're the one who speaks to this frequently about being a call away. You know, if I call George, his network will reach so far just through his years of experience with creating content, production, his personal growth, his business associates. I have somebody I can call and they can call the next man. And so looking at it through that lens, when you go to something like the Mission of Excellence Summit, you're putting yourself into an environment that is ripe with people who want to connect with you and help you get to where it is you want to go. We want to help you be a better dad. We want to help you make more money. We want to help you lean out. We want to be the men who help you grow, because when we help you grow, it helps us grow. Not just through our leadership skills of helping and wanting to just deliver the message, but it's like I talk about parenting. Why do I care about how people parent? Well, your kids are going to be around my kids. I want you to raise healthy human beings so my children are being raised or growing up with other healthy human beings. It makes the world a better place. And so I continue to go to summits. Anthony and I, we speak about, where do we go? The real estate one. We ended up at a real estate convention. You know, we'll go to conferences, we'll go to conventions, we'll go and associate ourselves with other individuals. That's how we come across men like Steve Maeda. And so because I went to another convention myself and I meet Steve, now I know Steve. He's not a phone call away. I can call him. And so now I've got his access. So maybe men going through his program are finding great success in the thing that I can't deliver. I can go to my guys and be like, hey, here's Steve. Call him about this. He can help you get where you want to go. But if you never enter that environment, you never enter yourself into the ecosystem, you'll never be the man who becomes excellent. And you won't even know why. And so to me, just by putting yourself in the environment at large, you can't help but win. And so looking at Jeff, I want to throw that your way, because one of the things that I've seen you do so well since coming on the scene as probably the newest content creator on here, you know, you are now experiencing what it's like when men reach out, you know, they touch base and they're kind of connecting and saying, hey, your words are helping me. And so when you approach this, maybe a little bit of why you decided to go and start sharing your message, but also what you're expecting these men when they show up will be their takeaway.
Sure. Yeah, it's been a trip having people reach out, and also just the past couple of years in the fraternity, from taking a leadership position and working with the guys and hosting calls. We were going to target this a little bit at the professional guy today, right? And if you're a professional guy, maybe you're frustrated at home. But if all your friends are on the professional track and they're single-minded towards that, who are you going to talk to about that? I know, because I'm a member of a group and I associate with guys that are well-rounded, that I have people who are strong in many aspects. You know, if you're the professional guy and you're leveling up and you're making more money and you never address your fitness or you never address your personal relationships, you're going to have an empty hole and you're not going to be able to find your happiness. You have to round it out and have a bigger group of people you can counsel with, so that you can pull up the weak areas, because we get stronger by improving our weak areas. We build the foundation and then we can move forward. So we're doing the conference and we're having a lot of different speakers whose expertise is in different areas. So if you're a professional guy that needs help with your relationships, you'll get that. If you're a strong family man and you need money with your finances, you'll get that. That was kind of my impetus for why to spread the word and what I've gotten out of it. You know, I've been before I joined the fraternity, I was very, very focused on money, and it was going well, but I knew I was missing something. I was able to add the other elements by integrating with guys who I didn't just associate with in my money pursuits.
You know, it's incredible how people, they get stuck on the one metric. I made a shit ton of money. That's great. Good. Money is a great tool to use, but you did that at the expense of X, Y, and Z. And I've seen you grow through that. I would say every man looking here, we've all focused on every element, as the rising tide goes up. So the professional man, yeah, I mean, you're good. I'm going to quote Larry Hagner, who dropped the quote that I really wish I had written myself, where he said, don't have a full wallet and empty house. Don't go and then be defined by that great job title you have, but the title that you have a father is weak. Don't be the man who, I mean, you can swipe and buy whatever it is you want to buy cash right now, but you can't even bring your kid out to get ice cream because you forget they're even there because you're so focused on identifying yourself with the job as opposed to identifying yourself with the strengths you have with the family or all the other elements. I lean to family heavily, and I know I do that in my message, but the reality of the situation here is that you're looking at your love life, you're looking at your spawn, your children, and you're looking at what it is you do with your life. And so to me, when I look at that trifecta right there, that trident, each of those points need to be sharp for you to thrust that thing forward. And to me, the staff that holds those points, well, that's your service. Where are you bringing these things? How are you bringing this to the world? What's your mission? Like, what are you doing with this? And again, George, looks to see like your connection is looking good. You're looking crystal clear here. So I want to throw it back to you that you continue to go and you are probably the most conferenced and summited man I know with the many you've been to and have spoken at yourself, that when men come to these, there's so much that they don't know they're going to take away from it. I was wondering if you could speak to that a little bit, as well as let those know who are watching why you decided to commit to the Mission of Excellence Summit.
Yeah, good question. I just enjoy extracurricular activities. So I've gone to men's retreats, conferences, seminars for all of my adult life. I mean, I have 1,000 continuing ed hours post master's degree. I have all the education that I want. Why would I want any more? Because I find that I am at my best when I educate myself, when I look at other people's perspectives, and I take notes like crazy. I mean, at this event here, I'm going to be the most crazy note taker of all time. I remember listening to Dr. Robert Glover, and he said he would devote at another conference that many of us were part of. He said he would take a full page of notes on every speaker. And I was like, wow. I mean, this guy has written like some bestsellers, incredible author, good guy and everything. And he's there to learn. And I thought, there's a man after my own heart. So not only have I attended, but I've been on stage hundreds of times, been on radio, television, did it all. And here I am, 63 years old, still learning. I just signed up to take a course, and I'm going to become a certified advanced grief and loss counselor. And after being a therapist for 25 years, the last time I learned anything about grief and loss was like Elizabeth Kubler-Ross and the stages of grief, the 5 stages of grief. That's decades ago. Things like somatic therapy did not exist, so I'm kind of like upgrading my counseling skills. I didn't know what somatic therapy was. People hold grief and loss in their body. Sometimes when people lose a loved one, they feel pain that they can't get rid of. And there are new modalities to help people deal with the pain that's harbored in their bodies after loss. So I want to learn. I came up in a men's community where, you'd meet at a church on a Saturday morning and you're flipping pancakes and frying bacon. And then there was like a guest speaker. And there was a lot of, in the church, there's a lot of idealistic stuff that did me no good when I went through my divorce and custody issues. 0 issues. As a matter of fact, I don't want to say the church abandoned me, but it was almost as if like they were struck with the inability to like the Tower of Babel. They were struck with the inability to hear what I was saying. It was like all of a sudden I was talking like Russian or something. Like nobody knew what the hell I was dealing with. And that's, now those days are over with because there's plenty of support groups. You have people like Steve Maeda and his group of people who I just constantly refer people to. And these modalities did not exist when I was going through stuff. You got to realize I didn't get my first cell phone. You guys heard me say it. I didn't get my first cell phone or laptop till I was 40. And then I said to myself, I'm not going to get one until I can use it as a tool. Like for me, it was just like a toy. And then I started, like, people would say something. Yeah, man, give me your email. And I'm like, okay. And then I kind of, after hearing that 1,000 times, I thought to myself, you know what? I better get an email. Now I sound like an old fogey, but I'm not. But the reality is, technology is a tool for me. It's not, I was, my video games to me was Pong. I got Pong in like 1975. That was it. And, there's a whole generation of men, married men and fathers that were raised on video games. I have zero clue. Pornography was Super 8 reels that you'd actually put on a movie projector, hang up a sheet on the wall, and watch a 15-minute video that actually had a plot. It wasn't like a 6-minute orgasm like porn is now. It actually had a story to it. The postman knocks on the door and the wife answers there was actually like a plot and a storyline. I didn't know that porn now is just like within 5 seconds, it's like this, within 5 seconds. And I'm like, okay. I didn't realize that one of the biggest demographics of erectile dysfunction is 17-year-old men, boys. I'm like, what? Because they've been watching porn since they were 8. Like, so I want to bone up, man, on my skills of dealing with people and helping men. And that's why I'm part of Mission of Excellence. That's why I want to be here. I'm here by choice because I want to learn and I want to help. I know some things you guys don't know. You guys know some things I don't know. And I think it's going to be a good thing.
No, it definitely is. You're a part of it. Everything you touch, George, turns to gold, man. You're like Midas. Just seeing the way you deliver the content. But jokes aside, and honestly, looking at that, people are going to hear you say that and think that is too simple because they think complexity is necessary and good. But the simplicity of it is exactly why, to me, it leads more towards mastery than anything else. What you're saying is I want to continue to learn. I want to continue to grow. My heart is still beating, as Steve was just saying. My heart is still beating. Therefore, I still have, breath in my lungs, muscles that can move. There's more to do. I'm not dead. So why would I stop? But I think in that simplicity, George, it speaks to the greater discussion as to what men want, especially if we're talking to professional men. It's very simple. I want to be able to go on vacation and not worry about money. I want to be able to go on vacation and not get in a fight with my wife. I want to go on a vacation and not have to worry about my kids, misbehaving or whatever. That man who wants those things, they might seem like very big. He's like, I just want to have that. Yeah, that's a very simple request. You just want a healthy relationship with your spouse that ages like wine and not milk. You want kids that you want to be around. These are very simple things. And so we have to stop thinking in this grandiose manner to where, I don't need to attend that summit because my problems aren't that big, or they don't recognize them as problems that can be fixed. But that's the exact point to this. The men taking the stage are sharing advice that can be immediately applied. Whether it's your relationship with your wife, you can get back to having great sex, great fun, great laughter, a good time. It's not just focused on one element of that. It's on the focus, the entirety of the marriage. And this is the beauty of it, is when these men come off stage, you can ask your personal questions. Hey, Anthony, my son does this. How do I help that? One of the huge ones I see people ask him, bedtime. It's always a fight. Anthony will have a 1-minute discussion and it solves that man's problems forever. Oh, you mean I shouldn't worry about this? We can plan ahead and the kids know what to expect. They can kind of steer how they want to go about it. That's it. Yeah, cool. Thanks for changing my entire nighttime routine from conflict and chaos to connection and love. I've seen it happen. And so looking at that, it's the little things we have to fix. It's not these grand things. So George, I think you hit the nail on the head there. And what I
Yeah.
really want to speak or really point out to men is that, again, we're talking about getting everything to the standard of excellence. So whatever it is, maybe your waistline's too big. Maybe your marriage is there's too many eggshells that you're walking on. You know, with the kids, you don't know how to properly speak to them because you didn't have the right example growing up. You can change all of that. These men can help. And so there's no secrets to this. I think honestly that catches people off guard. There's no trick. There's no flash or glam. This is just men being men and getting back to the point where we're men fit for 2023 and beyond.
Zach,
You know,
I was
go ahead.
I was going to say one of the things that George said that really hit me was, you know, with this group of men and this event, we're going to get into the hard issues, the issues that aren't talked about anywhere else. You know, when I came into FOE, I laid all my stuff on the table because I was tired of living the way that I did. You know, we as men were experts at compartmentalizing our lives. I had this professional side of my life and I was killing it. And then there were these other areas of my life where they were going in a complete opposite direction. And I couldn't find any place to go to talk about addictions and talk about some of the dark things that creep into men's lives when they seek comfort and the complacency that we talked about. And that's what you're going to get here in the Mission of Excellence. You're going to hear men talking about real issues. Like George said, you go into some of these church groups and things like that, and it's all surface level. And men need to get into the hard, deep, dark issues with other men that have been there and have fought the fight, and they've won the battles and learned from them, you know. And that's the passion of what we're doing here is to, you know, we've fought those battles and we've learned some things over the years. And you know, that guy that's out there, the professional that's killing it, he's leaning into that area of his life because he gains respect there. And he's become blinded to all these other aspects of his life that are going in the wrong direction, but he just doesn't pay attention to those anymore. And you come to this conference and you're going to hear about all of that stuff, and it's going to shine a light on things, and you're going to say, wow, I really have some opportunities here. I have some things that I need to work on. And here's some guys that I can talk to about it. So that's something that came to mind as George was talking there, that, you know, here you're going to get into the real issues.
You know, as I'm sitting here on the stream, I'm thinking about the person watching it, and I want to ask them a question, and it's, who are you learning from? You know, in your peripheral, in your surroundings, who are you learning from? And are you choosing who you're spending time with deliberately? Or is it the default of whoever's around you? Because I go out and I deliberately choose who to spend my time with because I'm growing. So therefore I'm changing, right? I have friends that go way back and I still keep in touch with them and we're still friends, but I'm a different guy than I was 10 years ago. So I need different people to learn from around me. So I made a choice that I was going to find those people. I wasn't just going to become friends with the guy next to me out of convenience. I was going to seek out the people I wanted to learn from because I want to grow more. So you really need to ask yourself the question, what am I being influenced by? Who's in my surroundings? And what do I want? You know, you got to go out and get what you want. It's not just going to happen to you. So you make a deliberate decision to learn, to grow.
One of the things that I was thinking of as Jerry was talking was, you know, like if there's a car accident at an intersection and police show up, they interview witnesses. You know, they got out their little notepad and they say, so what did you see? And 4 people on 4 different corners will describe something completely different than what really happened because it was their perspective. I think when it comes to problem solving, I believe that a cohort of experienced men with different experiences will literally be able to share things with you that you never thought of, or things that you didn't see. You didn't possess the lens to see the solution to that. And I think when you have a mastermind going on, big believer in mastermind groups. You know, there's 6 men on this call right now, but there's a 7th brain, and it's the mastermind. It's the collective. It is the collective intellectual property, intellectual capital that we provide as a group. For instance, if there was, like, I started thinking about doing some group counseling recently, and I'm not talking about me counseling a group of people, but me and 2 or 3 other experienced people and a guy who has a problem. So he's on the hot seat talking about an issue, and he's got 3 guys, experienced guys, who might be able to see something that he hasn't seen. So it might bust up the modern therapy and counseling model of solving problems. But, you know, your grandfather said, you know, 2 heads are better than 1. What's better than 2 heads? 12 heads are better than 1. And that's what the mission of excellence is. If we're going to have 12 guys, 12 different perspectives on issues. And I think because each of us have a very unique DNA profile, everything that you say is going to be completely unique. It's going to be run through the lens of your experience, your understanding, your hurts, your successes. And seeing all of these men on stage and mixing with them throughout the day can put just one pebble on the scale and help a guy overcome an issue that he never thought he would find a solution for in a million years. Zach knows this. I have a client who is chief operating officer of the NHL, National Hockey League, and he's also vice president of sports programming for NBC Sports. It's a client of mine. He started a business. His business partner is Ryan Seacrest. I could talk to Ryan Seacrest whenever I want. I have no need to, but I could if I want to. Ryan Seacrest is the new, as some people have said, like the new Dick Clark. The guy's just a master of media. This is interesting. If I wanted to talk to Ryan Seacrest, I might be able to have a 5-minute phone call with him 2 years from now. But because of my connection to him, I am one person away from the one person that can change my life. So I told this to Zach probably 5 years ago. What is a mountain to one man is nothing but a phone call to another. And that's what we are providing for the attendees, is that connection that they're able to plug in to the individual people and also the mastermind here. And I think that's going to be super important. I think that's going to be super important. And I think that, you know, when I think about the stitches, bruises, and scars that we all have, all right, think about it. I talked about the intellectual capital of this group. Let's think about the scar capital of this group and some of the shit that all of us have been through and all the shit that we've learned from. Holy cow. I mean, it's an absolute gold mine. I'm going to an event at the end of April in Philly, the createimpactnow.com. It's a business conference. I decided to go to that. I had 3 conferences that I wanted to go to this year. It was just my luck that all 3 were on the same damn weekend. And one of the hardest decisions I had to make was to pick, am I going to go to Austin? Am I going to go to Pueblo? Or am I going to go to Philly? Well, I live in Philly, so I could just roll out of bed and be at this conference every day for 3 days. And that's the one I'm going to go to. And it's run by Ken MacArthur. He's a millionaire maker. Like, if you say to Ken MacArthur, how many millionaires are you responsible for? You'd have to tell him to shut up because he would just keep talking for an hour. just naming names. The man is absolutely brilliant. He was actually one of the first ones in internet history to create a $1 million info blueprint, information blueprint product. And the guy's amazing. He was creating courses and making millionaires 20 years ago. 20 years ago. And so I know him personally after attending some of his masterminds, and I can't wait to be around him and some of these OGs in the information product world. I mean, I'm going to be like the child in this group who's just going to be in awe, and I'm going to try not to drool too much around.
So here's the question, George: are you getting Seacrest to speak at our event or not?
Hey, he's only a phone call away, right? But the funny thing is, to your comment, Anthony, I think it's funny how when I was younger, I was like Mr. Steal Yo Girlfriend. Then I got a little bit older, and I was like Mr. Steal Yo Wife. Now I got the gray hair. Well, I'm beyond gray. Okay, I'm now white. Okay, gray is cool. White is just like you're on death's door. So now I'm Mr. Steal Your Grandma. So you're right, Anthony. Watch your grandmother.
As we're rolling through, you've got my brain racked, George, because I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about all the guys that you mentioned, the SCAR equity that we have in a lot of sales / investing, making money groups. You don't care about what's going on in their home. As long as the dude's making money and he can show you like, hey, here are the black and white, here are the numbers, the red and the black. This is my system. Here's how it works. Take it and run with it. Cool. You don't care about what's happening behind the scenes. In social media networks, there's a lot of growth cons. They could say, I have 100,000 followers on X. I've got 1 million followers on Y. You don't care if their wife or their life is in shambles. You don't care with the relationship with their wife, relationship with their kids. You don't care if they're insecure or not. In a lot of pickup community discussions and then events that they have, it's, well, here's how you get girls. You don't care how they feel emotionally, what trauma they went to, whether they can connect or not. None of that matters to you. You're just looking to get something from it, but you're using a tool. And what I see as different here, and this is one of the things that Jeff and Anthony and I went through, is we were vetting men who are exactly what their program, their product, their system is. They are the living embodiment of it. So when I say that is when you go on here, not only are you going to have men talking to you about their marriage, but you will know that man's marriage is that thing he's talking about. It's successful. It's good. It's healthy. My wife and children are going to be at this event. I would never bring my wife and kids to an event if I were one of those men who kind of put on an appearance of success but never maintained it, because you would see right through it immediately on the spot. And so these men, every man on this panel and those who aren't here today, they are men that were selected specifically with that, you kind of as the first filter in mind. The first one is this person legit living the message they're sharing, or is it a nice shiny thing, with no meat behind it, all the sizzle but no steak? And so looking at that, George, one of the things that stands out to me is that when the men come into this, you're learning from people who live it and continue to improve. So as you're talking about getting better and going into that, and you can't fanboy, go out there, but like you can really respect what it is they're bringing to you. It's because you live this, you do this, and you're looking to get better. Anthony is a great father, but he's looking to be a better father. Jeff's going out there, he's sharing his message as to how he's investing, how he's living his life, and then his insights on real estate. But he's showing you behind the scenes of like, this is my life. I just happen to be sharing it. The same thing with Steve and Jerry. These men are not putting on a show for to be impressed or to follow. They're putting on a show to help you because that's what they want to do with their life. They live it and they've chosen to be a beacon out there for you. They could have gone about their life and been just as happy, but something spoke to them and something speaks to certain men. And so I see that with every man on this panel. I want to make it crystal clear that there's no, it's sizzle and steak, man. If anything else, we're just going up there and we're going to be force feeding you real things from experience and not just some theory that we understood by connecting some books together or some ideas. This is real shit, and this is what we've really found. And so when I talk about that, I want it to be clear that whether you're looking to join this because your finances are in trouble, you're looking to join because your health is in trouble, your mindset's in trouble, Or let's flip the script and wipe away all that negativity. Let's say you're just crushing it and you just want to be better. You know, you're doing well or you're doing okay, but you're like, I want to go to another level. Like I said, Anthony's a great dad, but he wants to be better. He's not going to stop going places and doing things and investing in the books and the reading and the research because he's a great dad, because there is no limit to this. Back to Steve's point, our hearts are beating. We are still growing. And so what we're doing here is looking to grow, looking to share, but you attending might help us improve because you're bringing something to the table too. You don't need to have issues to grow and be a better man. You might just want to find other higher performers to go to that next level. And so when they say don't be the smartest man in the room, and if you are, you're in the wrong room, go find a different one. Same thing there. Maybe you're crushing it in your physical proximity arena. You're the guy for all the things. You're already the jacked guy. You're already the healthy and connected guy. You're already the wealthy guy. You've got a great relationship at home and you're content when you're alone and there's no distractions. Okay. So now roll with other men like that so we can bounce ideas off each other to go to the next level. So this is for level 1 men looking to make it to level 5 to 7. And this is for level 7s looking to go to level 10. Even at level 10, though, you keep on growing, but you just have a stronger foundation from all the work you've already done. And so I want to make sure that point was driven home because it really is for every man. And just looking at this panel, as you were speaking, George, I'm like, damn, like I know every man on here's story. I've sat, I've spoken, I've had those real deep discussions, and you can tell from a million miles away if somebody's putting on a show, because as soon as the screen's off and the camera's not in front of your face, you're like, nah, you changed. Something's different.
Speaking of capital, you know, we were talking about intellectual capital, scar capital. Think about the recovery capital of all the speakers and like the 6 men on this panel. Think about some of the shit that we've been through and how we got through it. We're not victims. We made it through to the other side. And we've all had some pretty tough times. I know that. We've all had that. But we made it. And we live to tell about it. When you put all that together, the recovery capital is absolutely amazing. You know, I think the effect of that is guys are going to like go home and say, I got this. They're going to attack whatever their issues are. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like dysfunctional stuff. This is not a psychotherapy conference. This is not like a giant group session, big, you know, circle jerk kind of thing, which there's a lot of that stuff going on, you know, all like discover your female side or whatever the hell these guys talk about. I have no damn idea. But
I love that you couldn't even make something up there because we don't do it. And so you couldn't even come up with an example on the spot.
Exactly. Like, you know, like I want to, you know, I want to have bigger biceps.
Yeah, we're not women. We get it, man.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I want bigger biceps, but what I'm going to look for is
bigger. Well, come on.
Well, and I say that kind of like figuratively speaking, is that learning one little thing, one little damn. I used to be a gym rat, and I found I'm like the anti-gym rat now. Like literally, people say, how much do you work out? I'm like 2 days a week. They're like, what? Because it's so freaking intense. It takes me that long to recover. Because I'm not building my muscle while I'm in the gym. I'm building my muscle while I'm getting a good night's sleep and recovering for a few days before I get back in there again. So, but just like one little thing, I thought, like when it came to fitness, I thought more was better. I was the guy like, more plates, please. Put another plate on. And I screwed up my shoulders. And I'm like, you know what? That'll teach me. So now I'm like bench pressing half of what I used to, 1/3 of what I used to, but I'm getting a better workout because of one little thing that I learned about high intensity training. And all of a sudden it's like, why didn't I learn this like 40 years ago? Because for me, it was always more is better. And
sometimes your ego hides your weakness, right?
Yes, my ego was my biggest enemy, you know? So rather than more plates, what I want to do is learn how to keep my body in shape with minimal, like what I don't want to do is like do the bare minimum. I want to use the most effective weight and technique that's available to me. And that's kind of like a metaphor for life. You know, I want to learn the shortcuts. I want to, you know, I'm the, you know, I'm 63 and single. Like, chew on that for a minute, you know, and I ain't ready to go in the grave, not even close to it. So, you know, so I'm still improving myself. Still, you know,
Always,
and
man,
I
always.
would love to invite older guys out. I would like to invite the guys that are like in their 50s and 60s to come out who are watching this video and say, dude, come on, man. All right. You know, you might be in your 60s and think, what am I going to learn from these young guys? You know, they, you know, my glory days are over with. Listen to me, OG. Your days aren't over with, man. You can have a brand new life. It can start. I had told Zach that he's one of my mentors now. How the hell is that? Because my mentors are dead. When you get to be my age, the people that you shadowed and respected and were your mentors, they're either dead or dying. So what do I do? Just give up hope? No, I go backwards now. So I'm looking at guys like your age and saying, teach me, man, teach me. So I'm talking to my OGs out there, all my gray hair guys, my white hair guys. Get out here. Get out to Charlotte. Meet me out here in October, and let's get this done, man. You know, don't be ready to fold this up yet.
Yeah.
You were touching on an interesting topic beforehand about authenticity, and you know, we are who we say we are. We're really doing the shit, and it's hard to convey that over a YouTube stream. You know, you're gonna have to make that call for yourself, and a lot of people make that call poorly. You know, they get fooled by the sizzle. The sizzle does really well. The person flashing the Lambo, a lot of people do follow them, when in reality, it's kind of inverse. You know, so you got to ask yourself, would Anthony be talking about fatherhood on here if it didn't mean a lot to him? Because there's a lot of other subjects that could sizzle a lot harder. But he talks about fatherhood because that means the most to him. You know, I'm involved in this group because it's satisfying me to help men with real shit and not just do the flashy stuff. So you got to ask yourself that question and then make your deliberate decision on where to pay attention to.
Yeah, I will say, Jeff, I'm changing my speech now because Bitcoin just went over 30K. So I will be talking about cryptocurrency at the event instead. But I just wanted to make one point what George was talking about. And I think if he was talking about the stages of knowing yourself and adapting and changing and becoming stronger. But if you want progress, you have to tell the truth. And I think that's what this event is going to be about for me. I'm going to go on stage. I'm going to talk about parenting. I'm going to talk about how important fatherhood is. And I'm going to tell my truth. And I'm going to explain how facing my weakness is what made me stronger. And I want the men who come to this event to understand that, right? We're not going to be up there screaming and yelling at everybody, telling you how weak you are. We're going to be up there throwing a rope, lending a hand, and letting you know that whatever you're going through, you don't have to stay there, right? It is something that can change. Your life is not fixed. You don't have to stay stuck. You don't have to stay down. All you have to do is take a step forward. And that is what I would love to be able to give to the men who come. If their family is chaotic, if their kids hate them, I never want to see a man go through life where he does not speak to his kids. I hate when I talk to people or men and they say, I haven't spoke to my daughter in 5 years. That kills me because I couldn't imagine that in my own life. So I will do whatever I can to help that man bridge that gap and improve his life.
Yeah, I wanted to say something here just because there were so many things that popped out, and I'm coming from a little bit of a different perspective because I've just had my own road that I've had for a long time, and you guys have worked and grown together for a longer period of time. But when it comes to excellence, comes to a man's excellence, yeah, you're going to have pain, but I just want to speak to the guy that you don't have to have that. The pursuit of excellence is so unique to you. It's so special that you have to go inside. You have to find yourself inside. And at the beginning of the call, we were talking about the 4 different perspectives of an accident. And if you just watch media, if you just read books, which are great, this is all how we gain wisdom. I'm not discounting those things. To have the moment of face-to-face unity with somebody, to see it. And like, for myself, I've worked with men for a long time, so I have experience with that, but it may not be from me. It may be from one of these other guys. It may be from somebody in the audience. To get that perspective is so important, and to understand the importance of it. Because think about this. We live in a world where we don't think it's important to be around another great man when we can read his book or watch his videos. And of course, that stuff is all good. But when we can be around that other person and feel it, you wake up a side of yourself. You start thinking like, man, there is something. And what I've seen just from being at conventions year after year after year, you see the growth of people who do it. You see that. And it can only happen from that man who attends those things, who suits up and shows up to be around other men like that. It's so important. And to understand that the journey of excellence, kind of like also what George was saying, is there's many phases throughout your life. It never ends. It should never end. Why should we get to a point as men where we're just good? Ambition is something which is in our nature. It's in our nature, and it's plugged into this bizarre world that we have, which cares about all this stuff that we didn't really evolve towards. But it's so huge to have that ambition, to do better, to always have the pursuit of doing better than you are, seeing better than you are, and then walking step by step in a way that, look, man, when it comes to me and in my philosophy, I don't care if you have money or don't have money. They're different roads, but the road to you is the one that's important, and it only means something to you. And when you can be around other men that have that have lived that. Man, Zach, it's so sad to say that we have a massive coaching industry finally of men saying like, men, here's your answer. Here's a man. Like, you guys were saying men heal differently than women. When we have pain, we don't need to take a feminized model. And that may help for certain guys, but that wasn't for me. That was not for me to work with. Now we have men doing that. But man, over 90% of them, maybe even 99% of them are fake. They don't talk about the reality of that. They don't talk about the reality of making those things. And this is a conference where that exists. Zach has vetted these people. I'm so thank you so much for asking me to be a part of it. It's a huge honor because I know that your vetting process is for real. So you have the opportunity to be around other men who live it. And from what I know of just being around, conventions years after years after years, is that you change, and you change in a way that amazes me. I'm like, oh man, maybe I need to buy into that. Maybe I need to get this book. Maybe I need to do what you're doing. It's a awesome thing. And throughout history, wisdom of community, wisdom of how things are built, how things are made, how things are created into something better, which is our superpower, which is our magic, is creating and building, comes from other men sharing how they lived that. It doesn't all have to come from pain. It's not necessary. Your life can be great, but if you want to ignite, if you want to fan the fire of your ambition, of your vision, it is imperative that you are around other people who have it. And what's given to you here is this is a vetted group of people who have that. So it's super important. It's very, very important.
Where can I buy a ticket, man? I'm coming. I need to meet you. I need to meet you guys in person.
I threw my affiliate link and then
looking at that, there's a man I was thinking of immediately. His name is Don Hickman. I can name drop because he's very open and public about what it is he does. But the thing that stands out, he joined the Fraternity of Excellence. He didn't have any sort of dynamic that we have. He didn't have a men's group. He didn't have a bunch of friends. He didn't really have any online blogs or anything he was reading. He was just doing his own thing and just accidentally found us. And when he joined, another man couldn't make a recent event. So he basically joined the group and somebody's like, yo, we're doing the FOE event, but I can't go anymore. Who wants my ticket? And they gifted it to him. And so he went from not having anything to he was dropped into a Tennessee event that we ran. And at the end of it, he grabbed me, pulled me to the side. He's like, listen, man. He's like, I don't do this. I don't have friends like this. He's like, I always thought I was just the asshole, though, because everyone around me said I was the asshole. because I'm the guy who's like trying to be better man. I'm the guy who's saying that we should care about our families. I'm the guy that's focused on being, healthy, wealthy, having good relationships. And I wouldn't change that, and so everybody else is like, oh, you're a motivator, you're too excited, just stop. And he said, but then I met you men and I saw that I'm not the asshole. There's nothing wrong with me. There's something wrong with the masses. They've stopped trying. They've stopped pushing themselves. And so when you were saying that, Steve, immediately had me thinking of him, because there are a lot of men out there who think there's something wrong with them for wanting more. There's something wrong with them for not just accepting things the way they are. And so that just lights a soul, on fire on so many levels, because you recognize these dudes are like, I think I should just be a better dad. When you're talking about coming across somebody and making you better, coming across Anthony, I thought I was dialed in, dude. And then he asked me the question of how many books have you read on fatherhood? And that shit fucked me up, because I was like, damn it, Anthony, you got me. But instead of running from it, instead of letting the ego get in the way, I'm like, oh, I don't need books, man. I write the books. I was like, no, which ones do you recommend? And I went and I leveled myself up, and it brought me to the next level. And so just looking at that, this is something that is real. And this is something that might help you find your way, because maybe you don't know exactly why you're going, but that's what you're looking for. How to point and get in that direction. And so with that, gents, we've been running for over an hour. We're going to do a quick roundtable, let the people know where they can find you. I just realized we could talk another 3 hours about this. But listen, missionofexcellence.com. That's where you can go and find this. October 14th is where we're kicking it off, and it's happening in Charlotte. But before we do that, let's see where you can catch the speakers. Maybe you can DM them and get to know a little bit more before the event. That way you can really prime yourself to have the discussions in person. Starting that, Steve, I want to throw it to you. Where can people find you if they want to touch base, or if they want to find that sweet affiliate link of yours?
Yeah, well, I'd say the best thing is to come to the convention, because it would be the best way to get to know something. If you're watching this and have found interest, man, make the jump. It's really, really an amazing, it's affordable. It's something that's going to have an impact on you. So if you're watching this and that's your impulse, go for it. But if you do want to follow me, and you do want to look more at whatever's going on with me, just Instagram is at Steve Maeda, TikTok the same, YouTube is, you just Google it, or look for it on YouTube. But, check my stuff out if it helps. I've done it for a long time. I talk about a lot of different topics. But if this spoke to you, come. Man, it when I think about the price and the experience, it's a no-brainer. So that's what I got to say. Thanks so much.
I appreciate having you on, brother. Like I said, earlier you were talking about us vetting the men and going through. Dude, the moment I sat down and we did our interview together, I was like, yo, this guy's on something. So I'm just pumped, man, just to sit for myself selfishly, just sit down and talk to you again, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Same with me. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yes, sir. All right, George, where can people find you if they want to connect, touch base, and find your sweet affiliate link? You're muted, brother.
Sorry about that. I believe my link is Bruno 2023, if I'm not mistaken. But I can be found on my YouTube channel, which is called Listen My Son. And I changed my channel from a vanity channel to a legacy channel, because it's going to live on when I'm no longer here, hopefully. They say anything digital lives forever, and I'm kind of hoping that some of the things that I have said and taught live on. But from a guy who had limited access to his children as they were growing up, I have 2 sons and a daughter, and my YouTube channel is for my kids. If no one else ever looks at my YouTube channel, it doesn't matter. 20 years from now, if my boys, look at my channel and they learn something that they never learned face to face with me, then I'm winning. So you can find me on YouTube at Listen My Son, on Instagram at George A. Bruno, on Twitter it's at George Bruno, and really nothing profound. It's just kind of like old school.
It's highly
wisdom.
profound, man. Come on.
Well, I would like to think so, but the reality is, I really love the idea. Yeah, I love the idea that that people can learn something from not only from being looking at videos on the web and various social media platforms, but coming live to meet people face to face is a thrill. And I would just invite, I will ask my OGs to come out there to Charlotte in mid-October, missionofexcellence.com. So I hope to see you guys out there.
I like how you're subtly talking. I make a few videos here and there. You click on the channel, over 180,000 subscribers. Man, this isn't a 500 member channel we've got going here, George. I remember going back beyond, but more recently, your fountain pen documentary. I was engrossed. I could not watch it. I watched every minute of that, and then I went and bought a freaking fountain pen. And so your videos are very influential. And then I realized I don't like journaling, and so that didn't play out too well. But when I do write things, I do write it with a nice pen.
Yeah, party like it's 1899. You know.
All right, Higgins, I want to throw it to you, brother. You've been on a tear with content recently.
That's funny because I watched the fountain pen stuff too, and I didn't buy a pen, but it did remind me to slow down and look at the analog and take your time with it. And I also make my YouTube videos for the same reason. You know, I make my YouTube videos about real estate, but from the perspective of I would like my children to watch these someday if they choose to operate in that field, which I kind of hope they do. A couple less subscribers than George, but you know, same videos. You can find me on Twitter at Jeffrey Higgins. You can DM me there, or on Instagram at Jeff Higg. And if you shoot me a DM, I will get back to you. We'll talk about it.
That's awesome, man. I'm so glad that you've been sharing that with the world. That's a conversation we've been having for a while now. You know, and looking at it too, one of the things that stands out is when we make the things, we stand by the things, be it a photo, be it a video, be it a speech, you know, and that's what I love about this is there's nothing that's looking to get purged from the online. Like, it is what it is. We're telling our story as we go, you know, and back in the day, it was done through pen, you know, it was done by fireside. And today we have the internet and we use it, you know, but our stories, they're not being written by Chat GPT. We're living these lives, you know what I mean? And so what we're doing is we're sharing with you the insights gained from lessons we've lived and learned, and not just things that we think are interesting or would captivate. I'm all about the sizzle, man. Sizzle's great, but I like to eat. And so I like to make sure there's a lot of steak there too. Anthony.
Yo, what is going on, brother? I'm excited. Not gonna lie, man. Just doing this today, being around the men in here and the caliber, the just the wisdom and knowledge, man. It's gonna be a great event. Mission of Excellence. Buy your tickets. Make the investment in yourself. Right. I probably have told this story a bunch of times on Oak and Rock, which I believe I got fired from. So that's no longer going. But you can find me at peacefulfathers.com. That's where I sometimes blog. But you can find me on Twitter at Peaceful Fathers. And no, I want to say a few years ago, probably 4 or 5 years ago, I started investing in myself. And I started to really make changes in my life and decide that I was important enough. And that has completely changed and shaped my reality in such a more positive, loving, open, and strong way. I can't tell you how much more powerful I feel as a man right now than I did 5 years ago. Right. And George was saying it before, the victim mindset, the victim mentality, man, it is a blessing to be around other men who see the potential in you, who motivate you, who push you to be better, and to actually use their strength to carry you and help you become better, man. So wherever you're at in life, get your ass to this event. You will not regret it. Make that investment. Like Steve was saying, it's $399. Put the money in, put the time in, and improve your life. Be around men like Zach, George, Jeff, and myself, and you will not regret it.
You know, when I look at this, one of the things that really stands out to me, and similar to you, Anthony, I get that energy, you know, building inside. It's like a pressure, like wanting to like grow and just be released. And it's going to be, you know, on that stage, we're going to let it out. But here's the thing, man. From now until that stage, I'm going to continue doing what it is I do. And so when you're watching videos like this, you know, maybe you're watching it today where we live streamed, maybe you're watching it a week from now, you know, and it's sometime in May or June or whatever, you know, it's before the event. Whatever moment you're watching this, you watch through to the entirety. And I don't even know how much time we're sitting at, but we've been recording for over an hour now. If you watch that entire thing, there's a reason. There's a reason you watched this. You were hanging on because you wanted something. You're waiting like, all right, this is the thing that's going to help carry me forward. But nothing will carry you forward if you don't take what you learned and absorbed online and apply it in the real world. And so when I go out there, they're like, oh, well, what do I get from this? Man, I get to roll with other people that I know are going to take the information to become savages. I'm going to see strong fathers sharing their message out in the world. When we run it again and we see people come back, I'm going to see these dudes who changed their lives. This is the first one. You have an opportunity to get in when we are starting something great, something that is going to change lives. You can be there in the beginning. There are people, I'm telling you right now, who are going to attend this. And then we're running our 5th one, are going to be the dudes bragging about how I was there in the beginning. That's the opportunity being presented here. And I don't have to sell you on that. What I'm doing right now is basically showing you have a chance to make that commitment here. Because if you don't now, you might in 2 years. But why wait? Why not start today? Instead of being the guy who's like, oh, I wish I had joined when I watched that video. Yeah, I wish you had too, because you would have spared yourself a lot of regret. You would have accelerated your growth. You'd have been the man who found yourself with those men that you want to be with. So stop looking up to us and saying, give me something, and start acting like one of our peers saying, I would like to work with you on something. You have that opportunity here to attend this convention, to work with us on being your best self, to work on being a man of excellence. That's what we're offering you. So if you made it to the end of this video, I appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, share all that. But more importantly, make sure all the things you've learned here on this little free giveaway is something that you're taking and applying. Go ahead and think about whether you've got the time, the money, the days off from work, whatever it is you need. You can figure that out after. But right now, make the choice that you're going to actually do something with what we spoke about today. My name is Zachary Small. This is the channel, The Family Alpha. You'll be seeing us again on other channels as we continue to run these on Fridays. But honestly, it doesn't matter if you don't do anything. So it's my hope that after we end this call, you go forward, give it some time, and make some changes in your life. I look forward to seeing you in October. I'll be there. These men will be there. Hopefully you will as well.